Colonialism never died, it just rebranded. When you think of colonialism and colonialist violence, you probably think of the Trail of Tears or the Spanish slaughtering the Aztecs, or maybe you saw Killers of the Flower Moon and think of the murders of the Osage. These are all good examples, but they all happened a long time ago. Because these events happened before many of us were ever born, it is easy to think of colonialism as a thing of the past. The reality, however, is that colonialism never went away. It just got renamed and more normalized. The current ICE raids and violence towards minorities, and specifically Latinos, is a continuation of colonial violence. I'm going to focus on Latinos because the majority of Latinos are mestizo. Mestizo is a word used for people who are mixed Native American and European ancestry. This word was used by the Spanish to separate indigenous people from their heritage. The reason the majority of Latinos are mestizo and have European ancestry is because the Europeans essayed the native women and forced them to have their children, similar to how American slave owners essayed and impregnated their slaves. The point, though, is that the majority of Latino people are Native American. They have just been completely separated from their indigenous identity due to successful colonization. So when people say Mexicans or Salvadorians or whatever don't belong in the US, they're really saying that Native Americans don't belong in the US. Even quote-unquote real Native Americans are being detained by ICE because they are being confused for Latinos. This, of course, is happening because they share the same ancestry. It is believed that Aztecs were once part of the Navajo and other Uto-Aztecan people. All Native Americans are related to the people who crossed the Bering Land Bridge and migrated south through the Americas. Many of the people who are disappearing in ICE custody are women and children who are more than likely being sold into slavery. This is a form of human trafficking, of course, and the practice of enslaving and trafficking Native Americans has been happening since the colonizers first arrived. Claiming people don't belong on the land that their ancestors live on, and then imprisoning and enslaving them because of it is a classic colonizer practice. The war in Venezuela is another continuation of colonialist violence as well. The president of the US is claiming that the land and natural resources of Venezuela belong to him, and now he's taken the land by force. This is the exact same thing the Spanish did to the Aztecs, the Inca, the British did to the Mohawk, and that America has done to other countries countless times in the past. See Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Panama, etc. At home, the Cherokee and Lakota are some groups that come to mind. The justifications are similar too. Trump has called Latinos, especially Mexicans and Salvadorians and Venezuelans, gang members, drug dealers, etc., stating that in essence all Latinos, and therefore indigenous people as we've established, are inherently evil and therefore violence against them is just. The same rhetoric was used when the US committed genocide against Native Americans. It was said that natives were barbaric savages that would indiscriminately scalp any white man they came across. Therefore, killing them and stealing their land was actually justice. It's all the same thing except we swapped savage natives for immigrant drug dealers. This whole thing reminds me of a certain country in the Middle East where natives are being killed and called terrorists while their land is being stolen by settlers. There's also the case of Burkina Faso, where the French government effectively owned all of the natural resources up until recently when Ibrahim Traore, the leader of the country, kicked them out. Now he is labeled a dictator, kind of true, and a terrorist by Western nations. This is really the point of colonization in the first place. The colonizers want natural resources for themselves so they can make money and attain wealth and power. In order to do that, they kill and enslave native people and take their land. Once they own the land, they have their new native slaves extract natural resources for them, and the colonizers take all the profit. The same practice is still taking place all over the world. The only difference is that the people in power have gotten better at branding it as something other than colonialism. More examples are Puerto Rico and Hawaii. Look at all the poorest and most violent countries in the world and then read about their history. I guarantee you'll find the fingerprints of colonialism all over them. If you look at their allies and or trade partners, I bet you'll notice that they're usually the country that colonized them or one of that country's rivals. Even today, countries are being forced to pay tribute to their colonial masters. All power to the people.